Hi, I'm DJ Gerald, Worldwide Webb here for American Audio to teach you guys about some of the newest DJ technology out there. Today we're going to introduce you to the two new CD players on the market, the Pro-Scratch2 and the PSX. What we'll do is we'll go through all the basic functions of each CD player and then take you through some of the more advanced functions on the world's first touch-sensitive interface in the Pro-Scratch2. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get down to business. When you open your box, you're going to see that the Pro-Scratch2 comes with 3 wires. First, it's going to come with a power adapter with 2 ends that each look like this. It's going to also come with a pair of RCA cables like these, and an 1/8 inch mini jack to mini jack, male to male, for use with our Q Start feature. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our RCA cable and we're going to plug it into the unit. Goes right here on the RCA jacks. They're both color coded, red and white. Put the red one or the right side with the red and the left or the white with the white, like so. Next, we're going to take the other end of that wire over to our mixer. We're going to plug that into whatever channel on the mixer we want the CD player to play through. In this case, I've selected channel 1. I'm going to make sure that I use my line level input and not my phono level input. Red with red, white with white, like that. Next, we'll hook up our Q Start using our mini jack plug. I'm going to take my mini jack adapter, plug it in down here where it says Q for our Q Start. Take the other end of the wire here and plug it into the channel that I have that CD player playing through at the top of the mixer where it says player control. In this case, channel 1. And it should look like that. And the last thing I'm going to do is turn the power on to my unit. The first thing I'm going to do is take this end of the power cable and plug it in. One side is square and one side is rounded, so make sure that you fit the square side on the square side and the rounded side on the rounded end, or else the plug will not go in. I'm going to push that in securely. I will now take the opposite end and plug it into my AC power. It's a polarized plug, so make sure that you put the larger blade into the right side of your household current. The setup will be the same whether you're setting up a Pro-Scratch2 or the PSX. Once you place your disc in the PSX, all of the information about the disc will come up in the display at the top of the unit. You'll see what track number is ready. You'll see the timing of the track. Now you can actually toggle through the timing using the time button over here. By pressing the time button, it shows you the total remaining for the disc, what's elapsed on the given track, or what's remaining on the given track. You can customize it for your own use. From the display, we move down to our tracking buttons. Your tracking buttons, by pressing the one on the right, will take you up through the tracks, 1 track for each press of the button, or back through the tracks, also 1 track for each press of the button. We've also added a +10 button, so that if you press the +10 button, it adds 10 to whatever track you're currently queued to. I'm currently queued to track 3, hit +10, it takes me to track 13, hit it again, track 23, hit it again, track 33. Now we move down to the Q and the play buttons. The play button serves as a play and pause button. As I hit play, you hear music coming out of the CD player. If I hit the play button again, I'm in pause mode and you cease to hear the audio. We also have a Q button. The Q button allows you to press it and it takes you back to whatever your cue point is, or in this case, the beginning of track 33. In a little bit, we'll explain how you can set cue points using this Q button as well. We also notice a big wheel on the center of the PSX. This wheel is known as the jog wheel. What this allows you to do is to use some of the effects on the unit as well as search the audio. So if I turn this wheel, you hear I start searching the audio. Just like I would do with a record and move the record across the needle, I can turn this wheel and search to any point in the CD. So for example, I want to cue up right to this hi-hat. So I'll stop there In order to set this cue point, I'll press play and then cue real quick, and that'll be my new starting point or my new cue point. Play, cue. And you hear as I push this cue button to preview my cue point, you hear the hi-hat that I set up on. From the jog wheel, we're going to move across the unit to the pitch control section. This slider allows you to control the pitch of the unit. However, before you can actually use this, you have to engage the pitch control. In order to engage the pitch control, what we're going to do is use this button here and turn it on. Once it's on, you'll see the red light coming on, letting you know that you're in pitch control mode. Next, to your left, you have what's called your pitch range selection button. By pressing this button, I can toggle through 3 different selectable pitch ranges. I can go through plus or minus 12%, which is represented by an orange color, plus or minus 16, which is represented by red, or plus or minus 8%, which is represented by green. And if you notice, as I pull the slide back when I'm in the green mode, or plus or minus 8, the maximum is -8 and +8 on the other end of the spectrum. If I press and select to a different number, like 12%, now that automatically toggles, and my maximums are plus or minus 12% on either end of the pitch control. In addition to using this bar to adjust your pitch, we've assigned 2 buttons that allow you to pitch bend for quick intervals, a plus and a minus. So you can slow down the track or speed it up, like this. And as soon as I release the button, the pitch goes back to normal. If I hit negative, you can hear it slow down until I release it, and then it immediately returns to normal. So for momentary shifts in pitch, use your push buttons. For permanent shifts in pitch, use your slider. That's the pitch control section of the PSX. Next, I'm going to move along and show you another way to search audio using the fast forward and rewind knob on the PSX. By turning this knob forward, I can fast forward through a song, or turning it to my left, I can rewind through a song. If I'm in pause mode when I release it, the CD will sit there in pause mode. If I'm in play mode when I release it, when I get done fast forwarding, the track will continue to play. If I fast forward to the end of the track, it will queue up to the next track and wait for me to hit play again. Next, I want to tell you about the 2 different modes that the PSX can operate in. It can operate in single or continuous mode. In single mode, the PSX will play a given track, and at the end of that track, queue up and be ready to play the next track. If I hit the track forward button while the track is playing, it will automatically also queue to the next track. If I press this button here that says SGL CTN for single or continuous, you will see the mode change from single here. That disappears, letting me know that I'm in continuous mode. Once I hit play, if I skip to any other tracks, they will immediately start playing without queuing and pausing and waiting for me. I'm going to take you through some of the advanced features on the PSX. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to set a seamless loop. The looping features for the PSX are controlled by these 3 buttons located right in the middle of the unit: the in button, the out button, and the reloop button. The in button is going to set the beginning point or the start point of all my loops. I'm going to press it when I want my loop to begin. The out button I'm going to choose for the out point of my loop or the end of my loop, and I'll press that when I get to the part that I want to be the end. Like this. So I hit play. Where I want my in point to be, I'm going to press in. And when I find my out point, I'll press out. As I press out, both of these lights start flashing, letting me know that I'm playing a seamless loop. If you notice, it's playing the loop seamlessly, and if you look in the display, you'll see that my loop starts at 24 seconds, goes all the way up to 29 seconds, and then seamlessly loops back around again. Also in the display, you'll notice the loop light is flashing, letting me know that there's a loop playing. When I want to release that loop and let the rest of my track play, I simply hit the out button again, and the rest of my track plays. You'll notice that the two lights stop flashing, the loop in the display stops flashing, and my time on my CD continues to count down normally. If at any time I want to go back to that loop, all I have to do is hit the reloop button. As I hit the reloop button, my two indicators start flashing, it flashes in the display, and it jumps back in time to the 24-second to 29-second loop that I had set. When I want to release it again, I hit out. And that's it. That's how you set a loop on the PSX. Once I have a cue point set on the PSX, I can use the feature called Bop with this button here to get different stutters and different effects on the beginning of my track. In this case, I am queued up to the beginning of track 46 right on the bass hit. If I hit Bop, it goes right back to that cue point. As fast as I can hit Bop. It's a great trick. If you're at the end of a track and you need to go back to the beginning, you can just hit Bop as long as the beginning was your cue point. Now I'm going to show you how to assign multiple cue points to the 3 flash buttons that are located in the center of the unit. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm already queued up to a cue point, which by pressing the Q button I can preview. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my memory button. As I press that, red light comes on letting me know I'm in memory record mode. I'm then going to choose which one of these flash buttons I want to place that cue point. In this case, I'm going to use flash 1. As I hit it, you'll notice that flash 1 starts flashing, letting me know that it's entering my cue point. Now, whenever I hit flash 1, the CD will go to that cue point and play. Just like I did with the bop effect, as fast as I hit it, it'll jump to that. You must be in play mode for this to work properly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a shortcut on how to set a cue point. I'm going to take a snare in this music, right there, hit the end point, and now hit memory. And what it'll allow me to do is to set that snare on flash 2. Instead of manually going in and using my jog wheel, I can now press snare 2 and it's right on that snare. Flash 1, kick drum, flash 2 snare. That's the setting of flash points. And you can do 3 per CD plus a cue point on your bop button. Now that I have 2 cue points set on my flash buttons, or 2 flash points, I can actually save those flash points into the unit even when I eject the CD. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and eject the disc that's in currently, which is the disc that those 2 flash points came off of. I'll switch and put a new disc in. Now, the 2 flash points that I previously saved are still in the memory, so if I hit the sampler button, even though I have a new disc in, I hit the play flash button, it plays those 2 flashes that I have. And again, I can save 3 as samples. If I turn the sampler button off, they cease to play. And I can hit play on my regular track. That's the sampler on the PSX. Next, I'm going to take you through the effects that are built into the PSX. The PSX allows you to do several different effects. We have a scratching mode, flanging, echo, and automatic transforming. I'm going to start with the scratching mode. All I have to do is press this button, and it lights up letting me know that I'm in the scratch mode. What that means is that I can use this wheel, this digital turntable, or the jog wheel, as if I was using a record and scratching a piece of vinyl. So I'm going to enter the play mode. And you notice, as I move the wheel back and forth, it's just as if I'm scratching. It's motion sensitive, so if I stop moving the wheel, the rest of the track continues to play. But as soon as I start moving the wheel again, I get my scratch effect. I can also scratch in pause mode. So if I'm in pause mode, I can just move the wheel. But in this case, when I stop moving the wheel, the track does not continue to play. It stops and waits for me to move the wheel or hit the play button. But if I want to get a scratch effect and then hit play, I can move it in pause mode. I can move it in pause mode and then hit play real quick. That's the scratching on the PSX. The next effect that we have is flanging. I'm going to turn off my scratch effect and turn on flanging. I'm going to actually go to a beat on the CD, and you can hear the flange. Here's flat, and here's a flange. From flange, we'll go to echo. And from echo to automatic transforming. Automatic transforming is like cutting your signal into several smaller parts. You can now customize any of these effects using the parameter button on the PSX. What the parameter button allows you to do is to change both the parameter, the effect timing, as well as the effect ratio, or the mix between the original and the effect that you're assigning to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose flanging, and I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Now I'm going to hit parameter button once, and up in the display comes PT. That stands for parameter timing. This is going to affect how fast or how slow the effect is going to occur on my music. By spinning the jog wheel now, I can change how fast the effect, or the flange in this case, is occurring. Now if you notice, when I stop moving the wheel, it goes back to my preset. If I press the hold button, it will now hold whatever level I set using the jog wheel. That's at 48. And that's at the maximum of 99. If I go all the way back to 0 or 1, you hear it phasing in and out at a slower rate. I can also affect my parameter ratio by pressing the parameter button 1 second time, and PR comes up in my display, letting me know that I'm affecting the parameter ratio. As I spin the wheel, I'm hearing more effect and less of the original. That's at a maximum of 10. I can bring it back down, and any ratio in between that I would choose. I can again assign the parameter time and parameter level for each and every one of these effects. Next, we'll skip the transforming. Go to the same track. If you notice, you can hear it cutting the track in and out, or transforming the track. I'll hit parameter time, and I want to change that. If I go higher up, you hear a longer cut. If I go back smaller, quicker cuts. So as you can see, you can customize any of these effects to your likings by choosing the parameter button and changing both the parameter time and the parameter ratio. And by using the hold button, you can hold those in the memory. You can also do multiple effects. You can play flanging along with transforming, or transforming along with echo, or any of the effects along with the scratch. There's a maximum of 3 that you can select at any one time. PSX also has several other features that are popular for DJs. The first feature is a digital output. There are a lot of new digital mixers that are coming on the market, and this allows you to send your complete program out through the digital out. It's unique in that it allows you to use all of the other features on the PSX including effects and scratching, and send all of those effects out through your digital output. In addition to a digital out, the PSX has a headphone jack on the back, as well as a separate volume control so that you can preview things without having to be hooked up into a mixer or PA system. This comes in handy if you need to take a CD player on the road and you don't want to take a full PA setup. Anti-shock is included on the PSX. This allows you to take the unit and shake it without it skipping. This is a great feature that many DJs rely on. Now check out my man Omar Santana on the PSX.
Now that you've seen what the PSX has to offer, I'm going to talk to you about the Pro-Scratch2. This unit is truly amazing. It has the world's first touch-sensitive, truly touch-sensitive jog wheel that allows you to simulate scratching of records with CDs flawlessly and identical to vinyl. With the addition of things like the looping, reverse play, all kinds of effects, parameter knobs so that you can quickly change your parameters on your effects and your sample volumes and pitches, this unit is just packed full of features. So we're going to take you through them. And by the time we're done, you'll be out there cutting and scratching with the best of them. Let's check it out, the Pro-Scratch2. One of the most exciting features about the Pro-Scratch2 is the new touch-sensitive interface jog wheel that we've included. If you notice when you look at the unit, the first thing about the unit is the top has ridges on it and it looks very similar to a vinyl record, and the side looks very similar to the side of a turntable platter. That's just to give DJs the authentic look and feel of a turntable. The first thing that we're going to use the jog wheel for is to be able to bend your pitch of your music. In addition to using your pitch slider and your pitch buttons to shift your pitch, you can also, when in normal play mode, spin the wheel or drag the wheel to shift the pitch of your music. This is very convenient for momentary fixes during mixes of pitch control. The next thing the wheel can be used for is when we're in pause mode, we can actually use the wheel to search through the audio of the track to find a point that we might want to cue up to. In this case, I want to cue up on a kick drum, so I'm going to cue up right before this kick drum, and once I find a spot that I want, stop, hit play, pause, and cue, and now I've used the jog wheel and the cueing buttons to help set my cue point. Now on to the fun stuff. The touch-sensitive interface on this jog wheel can be turned on or turned off at the user's discretion. What's great about it is it allows you to emulate and duplicate all of the motions of a normal vinyl record utilizing your CDs. In order to enter the touch-sensitive or scratch mode, I'm going to press my scratch effect at the top of the unit. It's going to come up solid green so that I know I'm in normal scratch mode. Now what's going to happen when I'm in pause mode, as soon as I touch this wheel, I'll be able to manipulate the sound just as I would a vinyl record. And if you notice, it holds the cue point great. Now I'm in pause mode, so when I get done moving the wheel, it sits and it just waits for another instruction, whether it be play or more scratching or whatever. If I'm actually in the play mode, as soon as I touch the wheel, you hear the music stops immediately. No pressure involved, simply the human touch. When I lift my hand, the music begins immediately. No latency, no drag, and you can do that as fast or as slow as you'd like. So as you can see, it functions just like a vinyl record. In addition, once I touch that, it also is sensitive to the velocity that I spin the wheel. So as I scratch this, if I throw it off really fast, you'll hear a shift in the pitch as well. If I spin it backwards, you'll hear the track move backwards. If I simply let it go, it'll continue at the normal pitch of the track. That's the basic scratch mode. And again, it functions just like a vinyl turntable, where if I go to the beginning of the track and I let it play and I touch it, I have to bring my hand back to get back to the beginning of the track or whatever sound.
Are you ready? Get over here. Are you ready? Get over here. Are you ready? Get over here. Are you ready? Here we go. Here we go.
But we didn't stop there. We included what's called a beat juggle mode, or our second scratch function, to allow you to do beat juggles and to make things a little bit easier for those guys that are just getting into the whole scratching game. What I'm going to do is press the scratch button and turn the scratch feature off. I'm then going to press it again and hold it for 1 second. If you notice, the green light starts flashing, letting me know that we're in our second scratch mode, or what we like to call our beat juggle mode. What the beat juggle mode does is it allows me to set a cue point, and every time I touch the jog wheel, the CD will automatically go back to that cue point instantaneously. So for example, I'm at the beginning of this track. When I touch the wheel, you'll notice in the display it goes all the way back to 0003. If I lift my hand up, it begins to play. As soon as I touch it again, it's back at my cue point. As fast or as slow as I touch my hand to the wheel, it'll automatically go back to that cue point. This is great for doing beat juggles or stutter effects. Now, if I'm in pause mode, what happens, I touch the wheel and it'll preview my cue. But when I lift my hand, it stops playing, re-cues at that cue point, and is in pause mode waiting for me to give it another instruction. That's the touch sensitivity in the beat juggle mode. That allows you to do all kinds of cool things as far as stutter effects and beat juggling and things like that go. And you're going to see me and DJ Skilz a little bit later on showing you how funky you can get, including doing some things like some body tricks and different scratch effects. That's the world's first truly touch-sensitive jog wheel. Sensitive to the human touch, and it works very similar to the lamps that you see in many homes, where you touch the lamp and it turns on. There's no pressure involved in it at all. Simply your touch. Now that you guys know how to truly take control of your music simply with the touch of your hand, I'm going to show you a few things on how you can actually adjust our touch-sensitive wheel to function the way you like, and adjust the sensitivity so that you can get different effects and different things simply by touching the wheel. So go back down to the unit. I'm going to go into play mode. As you notice, when I touch the wheel, the music stops immediately. I'm at preset 0. Now, using my PSP, or my preset button that we talked about earlier with the effects, I can actually go to 4 factory presets, and jumping to those factory presets to change how responsive the touch sensitivity is. Right now at 0, you see as soon as I touch or lift my hand, it stops or plays. If I go to preset 1, you hear just a little bit of drag when I touch. If I go to preset 2, just a little bit more drag than on preset 1. Preset 3, also just a little bit more drag. And preset 4 is a long wind down, or what we like to call coast, when using a vinyl turntable. But as soon as I release my hand, it continues to play right from my cue point. Now, in addition to using the preset or PSP button, I can also manually adjust these things utilizing my parameter ratio and parameter time, just as we did with the effects earlier. Now I'm going to switch to beat juggle mode and show you the different presets for beat juggle mode. As you notice, it's 0. As soon as I touch it, it stops. As soon as I release, it plays. Preset 1, you hear just a drag. Preset 2, a little bit more drag. Preset 3, also a little more drag. And preset 4, a very slow wind down from my cue point. But still, when I release my hand, it goes automatic. That's using the presets or PSP button in conjunction with the touch-sensitive jog wheel so that you can customize your music and really tailor it truly to your touch. The Pro-Scratch2 also offers reverse play. This allows you to play any track in full, in forward or reverse. So I'm going to choose track 9, which is a music track. As soon as I hit reverse play, you hear it in reverse. If I hit reverse play again, it releases it with no latency or no delay. Forward, reverse. Forward, reverse. And when it's in reverse play, my place indicator in the display flashes so that I know I'm in reverse play. In reverse, and it stays solid when in forward. The next big addition to the Pro-Scratch2 is the addition of tempo lock or master tempo. What tempo lock allows you to do is change the tempo of a music without affecting the pitch of the instrumentation. So as I hit play on the track, if I were to bring this forward, you hear it shift in tempo as well as a shift in pitch. If I turn my key lock on, start my track over, you'll hear no shift in pitch, only a shift in tempo. That's at plus 4%. We've also added selectable pitch ranges that the master tempo or tempo lock works with. So now by turning on my pitch like I did on my PS1 and holding that button down and hitting the plus on the pitch bend, I can cycle through the different pitch ranges. We have plus or minus 4%, plus or minus 8%, which is represented by a green light, plus or minus 16%, represented by an orange light, plus or minus 100% or hyper pitch, which is a flashing green light. And you can select from those at your leisure. And tempo lock works at any of those settings. So I'm going to turn the tempo lock off. We're on 100% pitch and show you how it sounds. Speed it up 100%. Or we can slow it down 100%. And if you slow something down 100%, it stops. And at negative 100%, you'll notice the music on the CD isn't moving at all. As I move my pitch slider forward, it slowly starts to move. Again, I can turn my tempo lock on, speed it up, and you'll hear that tempo change even up to 100% positive or negative with no shift in pitch. Only a shift in tempo, 100%. And again, forward or backwards. That's the addition of tempo lock and 100% plus or minus pitch ranges. The next innovation that the Pro-Scratch2 offers is the ability to play your flash points even when a CD is in pause mode or the CD is ejected. Now what I've already done is go ahead and set up 3 points on my 3 flash buttons. If you notice in the display I'm in pause mode, but as I hit them, I have access to each one. As long as I hold the button down, the track will play, the flash point will play. When I release it, it stops immediately. Very similar to me using the Q button to preview my current cue point. And you can set 3 of those of 7 seconds each on each flash point. Now, the next thing I can do is I can actually eject my disk. And you'll notice in the display, it's going to come up as 00 with no disk. If I push the sampler button, the light comes on, and I now have access to these even though there's no CD in the unit's drive. Put my disk back in, or even change disks, and those 3 points will still be there until I erase them or set new ones.
Though highly unlikely.
The next innovation that the Pro-Scratch2 offers is the ability to mix from any track on the CD utilizing the effects processor to any of the flash points that you've previously set. This is also shared by the Pro-Scratch1, the PS2's predecessor. This is how it works. What I'm going to do is go ahead and hit play on my track, which is track 16. Next, I'm going to hit Effects Mix. As soon as I hit that button, I see Effects Mix comes up in the display, letting me know that I'm in Effects Mixing mode. Now I'm going to choose what effects I want to use for this mix. In this case, I'm going to use Filter and Echo. Once I'm happy with the effects that I've selected, I will then choose which flash button I want to use to mix to. I'm going to choose Flash 3. Once that's all done, all I have to do is hit the Enter Bop button and it'll execute the mix for me automatically. Here we go. So you heard the echo, which was the effect, and then at the end of the echo, it kicked right into track 27, which was set up on Flash 3. Now, in order for this to work successfully, you have to make sure that you are in continuous play mode. If you're in single play mode, at the end of the effect, it will just queue up at whatever flash point you chose without playing. If you have the relay wires hooked up to another CD player, it will actually cue the other CD player to play. I briefly mentioned the PSP or presets button located on the Pro-Scratch2. Again, what this allows you to do is toggle through 4 different factory preset levels of effects. Let me demonstrate how that works. What we're going to do here is I'm just going to cue up to a sound or a sound effect. And I'll hit the cue button to cue that sound. Now I'm going to choose echo. That's how it sounds currently. If I hit the preset button, you'll notice the display changes to preset 1. And you hear a different level of echo, just our factory preset. If I go to number 2 by pressing preset PSPs again, you hear a little different of an echo effect. Number 3, and this is pretty cool, I can overlay it to never-ending echo chamber. And preset 4 is echo, but it has a longer decay time. I have 4 presets for each of the effects here, including our scratch modes. So if I enter the scratch mode, you'll hear echo on top of the scratch effect. If I go back to preset 3, I can overlay echo after echo with scratching. And go to 4 to let it ride out. Or I can just use a little bit of echo to get a different texture on my scratch, like this. That's with it. That's with the preset number 1. That's without. With. For example, filter. Preset 1. Let me go to a track for it. Preset 1. Preset 2. And you can hear the difference in the way it's phasing. Again, you have 4 presets for each of the different effects on the Pro-Scratch2. On the PSX, there were 4 different effects. On the Pro-Scratch 1, we double that, so you have a total of 8 to choose from. Now, the difference is, in choosing them, you still only have 4 buttons, but we have a toggle switch here, which allows you to choose from the top row of effects when it's green, or if I press it once, it turns red, and I can choose from the bottom level effects. When I'm on the bottom level, as I press this button, notice that the button illuminates in red, letting me know that I'm selecting the effects on the bottom for that button, in this case, pan. If I choose this button, red for phase. If I toggle the switch and hit the button, it turns it off. If I hit it again, the button illuminates, but this time green, letting me know that I'm choosing my top level effect, and in this case, transforming. That works for each of the buttons. In this case, I have the scratch selected. However, if I were to toggle the switch, I'm no longer in scratch mode, I'm now in skid. And you can interact many different combinations of the upper and lower effects. And just simply by looking at the colors, you can quickly tell which effect you've chosen. Now that you know how to select which effects you want to use, I'm going to show you how you can manually change those effect settings. In addition to using the preset parameter or presets button, the PSP button, to jump to our 4 different factory presets that we've set for each of the effects, you can also use the parameter time knob and the parameter ratio knob to change those effects manually. This is how you're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and when I hit play, I can simply choose an effect, in this case filter, and by turning these knobs, I can change both the filter time and the ratio of the original material to the effect that I'm applying. Now if you notice, as I turn the knob, it goes pretty finely. If I want to go on larger increments faster, I can push and hold the knob down as I turn it, and it goes through much faster. Now what happens is, if I keep turning this knob, it'll keep changing my parameter. When I stop turning it, it returns to my original preset. If I want to set a new preset, I have to push the hold button. Once that's illuminated, any settings that I change, it will hold. When I find the combination of ratio and time that I like, I'll push the time button. When I find the ratio, I'll push the ratio button, and it saves that as my new preset. Now, it will remember that preset for that effect. If I switch to a new effect, in this case, say transforming, I can do the same thing. Set my own preset. Say I like it there, hit my 2 buttons, and it saves that as the preset for that effect. If I go back to filter, I'm still at my preset for filter. It'll save the settings for each and every one of the effects. Believe it or not, we included a security feature on the Pro-Scratch 2. It allows you to lock out all the controls. So say you're in the DJ booth and you have to leave momentarily, and you want to make sure that nobody else comes up in the booth and messes with the settings or changes the pitch or plays with your effects. You can actually lock the unit out so that none of the functions or buttons work unless you know how to unlock it. This is how that goes. What I'm going to do is go ahead and hit play so you hear the track playing. I'll choose track 6. Now, in order to go in lockout mode, you simply hold down the parameter time knob for 1 second, and while you're holding it, hit the memory button. Once you do that, you'll notice that lock comes up in the display in the corner, letting me know it's in lockout mode. Now, the pitch control doesn't work, the play pause buttons don't work, the track skip buttons don't work, none of the flash buttons, loops, none of the features on here work at all. Everything is locked out. The only way to gain control over these buttons again is to repeat the process of holding down the parameter time knob for 1 second and pressing the memory button. And you see the lock disappears, and now my pitch control, my looping, and all my flash buttons and all the functions of the CD player work properly. A security feature. Who would ever thought of it? Now I'm going to show you some of the more advanced features on the Pro-Scratch 2's sampler. It actually has separate volume and pitch controls that allow you to independently change the volume and pitch of the sample from the audio or CD audio that's coming out of the CD player. As we look down on the unit, we'll notice the parameter time and the parameter ratio. What happens is when we're in sample mode, which means that we press this button and the red light comes on, these serve as sample volume and sample pitch. And as I start to turn this knob, you'll notice SP comes up on my display for sample pitch and tells me how fast, +040, what percentage of pitch I'm speeding it up or slowing it down. If I turn the bottom knob, it comes up with SV for sample volume, and as I turn it, you'll see that it changes my sample volume, 10 being the loudest and 0 being the quietest. So I'm going to hit play on my track. So if you notice, track 6 on the CD is playing, but I'm going to go ahead and press sample so that my red light comes on, and hit flash to play the sample that was previously stored on flash 1. Now that sounds pretty good, but say I want the sample louder, all I have to do is change my sample volume. I want to actually turn it down some. So it's way in the background. If I hit my hold button, it'll now save that setting. If I don't hit the hold button, it will only save my new volume momentarily. So now that I have the hold button on, I'll find what volume I want it at. A little bit lower, about there. Press the button, it saves that as my new preset. Now I want to match the pitch. I'm going to take the top button to do that. And that's the pitch I want to play it at. So I have separate volume and pitch control for my sample, independent of my pitch slider for my music and my volume that would be on my mixer. Now, if you don't have a CD in the drive and you enter into sample mode, it will not come up and say SV or SP for sample volume or sample pitch. But these knobs will change the pitch and the volume. You just won't see it in the display. It'll say no disc.
All right, now it's time to check out DJ Skilz on the Pro-Scratch 2.